Okay. For a second, I thought I didn't know how to do a live video here. It's my first time. So I am hoping that people will join. My name is Jeanette. I'm an alkaline health coach, and I'm into regenerative healing at the cellular level. And I work on all levels, the mind, body, and the soul. So what I'd like to start off with today, oh, thank you, Jen. So good to see you here. Anyone else who might be joining, thank you for being here with me today. It's just so great to be able to connect like this, This is an amazing platform, especially during these challenging times where some of us feel like we're not very connected to other people, and we know as human beings that this is really important. The human connection is really part of this life's experience. So for those of you who are here already, why don't we just start by cultivating our motivation today? So if you would join me in a really brief meditation, you could, find a comfortable seat, preferably seated upright, straight spine. It doesn't have to be too crazy straight. Just sit in a relaxed way, and please just close your eyes. And let's just bring some attention to our heart chakra. If you have a crystal or something with you that you'd like to put on your heart chakra, something meaningful, please do that now. And let's just start by bringing our awareness into our heart. Thinking about everything that we're grateful for, particularly Pachamama, Mother Earth, and all her people. Let's think about how many people are involved in our day-to-day lifestyles, how much we rely on other people. For example, just our clothing alone. If you're not making your own clothing and you rely on other people for clothing, for your food. Let's just bring that awareness into our heart right now. And just start by observing your breath, watching your inhales and your exhales. Let's take some deep breaths together. Inhale through your nose. And exhale out through your mouth with a big sigh. Let's do that a couple more times. Inhaling through your nose fully all the way to the top, and exhale out all the way with a big sigh. One last time, in through the nose and out through the mouth. Keeping the eyes closed, just feel your body. Come back to your body. Get centered. And let's fully arrive here. Pay attention to your breath. Maybe it's the inhales and exhales of your belly expanding and deflating. Maybe do a little body scan as well. Seeing if there's anywhere in the body that just has some tension that you could just ask kindly to release. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be liberated. Okay, so thank you so much if you joined me for that. Just really important to consider one's motivations before doing anything. I like to do that because I'm aware that everything in this existence is related to cause and effect, or there is a cause and effect to everything. So yeah, considering the seeds that you're planting is really, really important. So I guess I just wanted to start by addressing a little bit about my personal journey, and I have already received some questions from some of you, so I'm really looking forward to delving into your questions and providing some answers. So yeah, with my journey, it's interesting. If you look back at yourself as a child and a baby, hopefully you have some baby photos or a video, home video of yourself. There's a lot to be learned about what was happening in our experience as babies and as little children. Especially before the age of 6 years old, because that's when we, kind of get into a little bit more of the conditioning, and we take on a lot of the, programming, some people like to call it, from our parents, our teachers, and just people who influenced us. So looking back at myself as a little baby, I've been very blessed. I had, home audio and video in my life since a kid. My dad has a business, and so we had a home video recorder. And as a baby, I just wanted to light everyone's world up, and I'm learning a lot in the Buddhist teachings about, the attachment to reputation and things like that. And I'm learning to let those things go now. But yeah, like as a baby, it came from a pure place. As a baby, you don't have the conditioning. So there was a home video of me just being dressed by my mom. And then she was like, I don't know, probably in some kind of mood, I have Italian and Maltese background, and we're very emotional beings, and we didn't really hide how we were feeling in our household. And perhaps as a baby, looking back, I've realized that perhaps I was looking to brighten people's spirits a bit, lighten the mood a bit in this heavy world. It's like I picked up on it back then. So I would take my dress and I would just like cover my face, and then I would just like put it down again and just be like, hee 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 hee. So it's really cool. I hope you will look back at yourselves and also look at your journey, like your health journey. If you're here today with me, it's because you're looking for some tips for healing. And I'm going to be sharing some really amazing tips with you, my top tips for healing on all levels. So stay tuned, But yeah, just to start off, until we get a few more people on, I just want to share about some of my health struggles and why it is that I do what I do. So growing up, I had a lot of health issues. I was, eating the standard American diet, living a pretty toxic lifestyle, not familiar with, toxins in the environment and my exposure. There was a lot of, different household cleaners that, my family would use and stuff like that. And also with, the fact that you get your lymphatic system from your mother, and it's like a multi-generational thing where, your cellular weaknesses are passed down through different, ancestors and things like that, your family lineage. And my family didn't really know much about health, and my mom's lymphatic system was pretty congested. She had allergies, and then so I was born with so basically each offspring, their health, you get weaker and weaker with each offspring until you correct your health. So those mothers to be out there, really you want to clean up your lymphatic system, and I'll get to some more information about that. Oh, hi. Thank you so much, guys. I see you all there. I'm so new at this. I don't know if I can send anything back to you. What I want to do is I want to put a comment of today's topic. What is today's topic? How I healed and how, Q and A's to your burning health related questions. Sorry guys, if you're on here live, let me just post this here so people joining can see. There's a way that you can Yeah, I can pin the comment. Okay. So yeah, as a child, sinus, like upper respiratory, like all kinds of inner ear sinus infections, tonsils and adenoids having to be removed at age 6. I was lucky because my doctor, our family doctor, was really like not into pharmaceuticals. So he did at one point give me a puffer as a child, but that's because like I complained and I had no clue about natural healing, and we were still very dependent on the medical system. But he would always say, like, I had this thing and I still am healing, as a healer, we're always healing, right? The healer has to heal thyself. I have this thing where my fingers get so cold and there's no circulation. I had it growing up, and my doctor would just say, oh, just wear mittens or wear gloves. So that was kind of a blessing, it turned out. Later in life, now that I'm into the holistic healing, I realized that, I kind of lucked out with this family doctor who didn't overprescribe medication and things like that. Growing up, I had a lot of like struggle with negative emotions, a lot of like mental I would just say mental problems, mental disturbances, or as the Buddhists say, afflictions of the mind. And of course, I'm still healing a lot of these. But yeah, my parents didn't really have, they had very little understanding of true health and healing. And there was very little time because they were raising two children, my sister and I. They were putting themselves through school and they were working full time. So there was very little time for them to sit down and discuss, hey, it's natural to have these negative emotions and you can talk to us, so, a lot of us didn't get that as children, and that's okay. We don't blame our parents. They did the best that they could, right? It's just, you want to be grounded in reality, and you want to realize like, oh yeah, like if I ever had kids, that would be like the priority, is to talk with them about the things that are of importance, So little understanding of health, lots of potato chips around the home, that standard American diet or standard Western diet, whatever you want to call it. And then the emotional eating, because, there was no outlet to talk about the emotions. So I would get home from school. I remember just getting home and going right to the sugar cereal, as I call it. I used to love the the Pac-Man cereal. Excuse me, with those little marshmallows. Oh my gosh. Or the Count Chocula, or there's so many emotions. You could hear as it gets more emotional for me to talk, like, I'm expectorating. That's part of a detox reaction. But yeah, I'm just giving a bit about my story, guys. Thank you for being here, because I want to get to the questions and answers, and I really want to share my top tips for healing yourself naturally. So, but I just, until a few more people come on, I thought I would share a little bit about my journey. And so, yeah, I had a lot of fluctuations in my weight, obesity, eating disorders. I was actually struggling between like vanity and then like eating disorders. It was so crazy. I remember going into high school and being so concerned with like how I was going to look. And, I went and I like read in a magazine for like overweight older women or men, that they should eat 1,200 calories a day to lose weight. So I just started doing this as like a growing young person, and I became like very thin. But what's interesting is like with my build, I have a little bit more of like a genetically like muscular build, and with the I wouldn't say like it wasn't anorexia, but it was like chronic like calorie counting and like obsessing over my weight, and caring more about how I looked than my actual health. And yeah, because of my genetic like build, I would get a lot of compliments while I was going through that, which was encouraging me to stay unhealthy, emotionally, mentally, and physically. Thank you. Beautiful thoughts. Oh, I appreciate you. Yeah, so then it led into addictions, caring so much about how like you appear. You get naturally drawn into like peer pressure. And I started partying and drinking alcohol, using a fake ID, my older sister's ID, to get in and get into bars and stuff like that. This is all going on while I'm in high school. It's supposed to be focused on my studies. So luckily, I did get through high school with a diploma, but it wasn't my focus to get good grades, and I was suffering. Like, depression is a real thing, and drug addiction, like these are crazy, like, mental afflictions. And so later in life, basically around 2012, and you could see I have a blog entry I've linked to my bio on my Instagram, so please click that link when you have some time to check out my full personal healing journey, because I really want to get over to your questions and give you the hot tips on healing yourself. So I'll just summarize this quickly. But basically, what happened was in 2012, what launched me into this like crazy healing path was my jaw literally like popped right out from acidosis. So many acids and toxins backlogged all the way up into my head, which led to chronic pain. And because I was so polluted, my whole lymphatic system was filled with acids and toxins of all these years and like multi-generational, acids that were stored in my mother's lymph system, and passed down to me. I basically ended up with like crazy allergies, and like I couldn't even enjoy like a glass of red wine or anything. All of a sudden, like even moderation wasn't going to do it if I wanted to heal. I was like sneezing the minute I had a glass of red wine. Anything I ate caused indigestion, gas, bloating, all that kind of stuff. And then I was living in an apartment that was like pretty damp. It was kind of a sub basement. I chose it because it still had like big windows. It was very affordable. Living in downtown Toronto is a pretty pricey life here. So I tried to get the best for my money, and that was the biggest mistake because there was mold. And I didn't know. And then basically I started to like crave all these fungusy things like bread. And like I remember going out and getting like a big like French loaf of bread almost like every day, and like having cheese and like all these fungal things like beer. All of a sudden I didn't even ever like beer. I was a wine lover, and suddenly I was like going out and getting like beer for myself. And then finally the mold started exposing itself, and then I was like, oh, okay, I see what's happening. But the jaw popping out, that's like a crazy TMJ thing. It eventually did go back into place, but I still suffered with all the connective tissue and fascia from the jaw, neck, upper back, C-spine area being like inflamed. And then out of like, what seemed like out of nowhere, I was in a near-death car accident, and the whiplash basically just like put me in an even more severe state of pain because it's the same region. It was like the universe was like, okay, here is what's happening. Like, you need to either change or you're just gonna suffer and it's just gonna get worse. So luckily I had been into yoga for many years, and I was familiar with changing my thinking. And, the more you can become flexible in your body, the more you're flexible in your mind. So I was already starting to see things differently. I was reading books by Louise Hay, Wayne Dyer, Don Miguel Ruiz, Eckhart Tolle, and basically, Joe Dispenza, later on, I discovered him. It's like biohacking pretty much, you might know the term, it's pretty trendy now. Basically looking at your patterns and looking at like life and kind of like, oh, hey, is there something that just keeps repeating? You know, like, am I choosing the same men? That was one of my things, you know, it was like relationship after relationship, they were like the same man. And, you know, they weren't really the best for me. But I also wasn't the best for them. So it's about basically observing your mind and your thinking, slowing down enough where you could, I am, oh my God, yay, you're here. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited to get to questions and answers too. So I hope you have your questions ready. You can send them in at any time. Anything related to healing the mind, body, soul. And, but yeah, just in the meantime, as we wait for a couple more people, I was sharing the last bit about my own personal healing journey. So after the car accident, I was prescribed oxycodone, and that's like a crazy painkiller. And coming from addictions in my past, I was like, I don't think that's the best choice. I'll probably like it too much or something, and it could probably, like, you know, ruin my whole life. So I just told the doctors no, and I suffered for about 8 months before I really was willing to change. And that's the thing about healing, you know, you really have to realize that it starts with the mind, and you have to make the decision. You have to say to yourself, okay, I'm ready to change my diet, my lifestyle. And it's interesting because I talk to so many people about this, right? And some of my clients, like, they're telling me too, like, people in their family have said, and I had this experience too with somebody in my family where they've said, oh no, if I can't eat such and such a thing, I'd rather die. Like, you know, some indulgence that they just cannot give up. They'd rather die or live with the suffering that's coming from these kinds of acidic diet or acidic lifestyle. They're not willing to slow down, a lot of them either. So basically, I really wanted to change. I made the decision, and I went back to a lot of the teachings because I've been trained with like all different, like, you know, I've been studying under different herbalists and biochemists and naturopaths, homeopathic doctors, and like all of these health professionals for like 15 years at that time. But it's like, you know, you try their things and it's like a lot of supplements, and they don't really connect the dots for you, and you don't really understand like the whole body, mind, soul connection to healing. And you try little things, but you don't see much improvement. So, but I did go back to my trainings from 2011 with Dr. Jen Shura. If you don't know Dr. Jen Shura yet, this is a hot tip. There's a book called Health by Purification. And if you and, you know, anyone you love and care about can read this book, I think that, you know, you'll see huge shifts in the people you love's health, your own health, you know, Health by Purification. I think it's the like 18th edition or so by Dr. Peter Gensura and another naturopath. And they trained with like all these naturopaths from the 1920s in Germany, in like a really small town. And basically that family studied all different herbs and how these herbs can, all these different herbs can go into the body and like correct all these genetic weaknesses and like cleanse and strengthen at the cellular level. So that book is fantastic. Everything started to make sense to me when I went back to Dr. Jen Shura's teachings. I started connecting the dots more. You know, when my jaw dislocated, it was a point in my life when I was under so much stress. You know, there was changes in my career, in my personal relationships. I was moving homes a lot. And then also, you know, he teaches on the negative emotions and how negative emotions are very acidic, and acids being hot, inflammatory, corrosive, you know, and me being in this like chronic pain, it just made sense that the trauma, you know, from this injury, from the car accident, and also with the jaw, like just the stress, like building up all that acid, you know, that caused trauma in itself for the jaw. So that's what Dr. Jen Shura teaches about. You can ask me any questions, you know, anytime. Send me a DM, or any way you can contact me on my Facebook page, The Healing Junction. You know, I'm always here to help you. I want for you to feel vitality. And in order for you to feel your best version of yourself, you need to be on the alkaline side of the fence. So what side of the fence are you on? You know, you have to ask yourself. The importance of the kidneys and the lymphatic system, I can't stress enough. And I would have to say that's one of my hot tips of the day. You know, if you can support your kidneys' filtration, they're designed to eliminate acids from your body, these harmful substances, toxins, you know, but they have to be strong enough, and years of abusing them. You know, think of all the acidifying like soda pops that we drank when we didn't know any better, or all of these, you know, like acidic foods, junk foods, and very fatty, high protein diets. This is very, very hard on the kidneys, the organs, and the glands. And the kidneys being connected to the lymphatic system, it's really important to detoxify by supporting your kidneys. So one of the things that I like to do is give them a massage. They sit up top, they sit up at the belly button on the back, that region, and you could give them a nice massage. Go as hard as you can without hurting yourself, you know, and that would help you to get your kidneys filtering. Doing a lot of fresh parsley in your diet, all different fresh herbs. You know, we're coming into spring here in Toronto, Canada, and many of us are already planting our herb gardens. So all different herbs, they're fantastic medicines. And I learned that when I discovered Dr. Robert Morse. So to finish off my story, I just want to read a little bit from that blog entry. It'll just be like a 30-second read, maybe not much longer. Basically discovered Dr. Robert Morse by just sheer fate, you know, putting it out there in the universe, like, please help me. I need answers. I had suffered for 8 months. I was bringing an ice pack to work with me every day. People were like, are you okay? Like, should you be working? But yeah, like I just, you know, life goes on. You have to do your best. So here's the little bit that I wanted to read. After discovering Dr. Morse, all the connective tissue and fascia that surrounded the jaw joint became inflamed due to the large amount of acids and toxins that were backed up all the way into my head. This was revealed to me more clearly by a naturopathic doctor in Florida, who later became my teacher and mentor, Dr. Robert Morse. So check his school out, the International School of Detoxification, if you're interested in, you know, becoming, like myself, a regenerative detoxification specialist. Unfortunately, where was I? He focuses on the lymphatic system and conveys the message of optimal health in a simple and clear way for all to understand. He has a YouTube channel as well, guys. Dr. Robert Morse, M-O-R-S-E. Unfortunately, with most people, unless their suffering is severe enough, they are usually unwilling to sacrifice the necessary foods, as delicious as they are, to allow the proper alkaline chemistry that the body is actually able to heal itself in. Hi, welcome, all you newbies here. One must also be prepared to make crucial lifestyle-related changes. So I just wanted to read this little bit from my blog before I answer some of your burning questions about healing. This is a bit about my journey. So as with all life forms, the human body is incredibly capable of healing any type of ailment or health issue all by itself. So the body really is the healer. We have to take our health into our own hands. We have to take responsibility. There's no one who's going to do it for you guys. And you might be like me, inexperienced, you know, no answers out there in the medical system to really support your healing journey. So I hope that, you know, I could be that meeting point for you to connect you to all things holistic, healing on all levels, mind, body, and soul. But it must be provided. Okay, so your body can heal itself, but it must be given an alkaline, therefore hydrating environment in which the healing process may take place. So you can check that blog entry out about my own healing journey on my website, thehealingjunction.ca. There's a link for it in my Instagram bio. So it's interesting though, because we start to find the answers and things start to work for us. Dr. Morse promotes a high raw, vegan, fruitarian as much as possible diet. With a lot of herbal medicine. And so I started doing the herbs. I barely changed the diet right away. And these lymph nodes that were always swollen immediately went down. And then, of course, changing the diet, everything started to heal. I remember going into a grocery store being like, what? I'm supposed to just eat mostly fruit? Like, what fruit do I even like? I didn't even know what fruits I liked. That's how poor my diet was. Excuse me, I started doing a lot of fruit juicing, herbal teas, all of these things. I started feeling better. So then I was motivated to teach other people, which I think looking back is part of my problem as a human, because we need to focus on ourselves first. We need to focus on our healing. We can't just, I think we found something. Let's, it worked out for me in the end. I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't, but I went out there right away while I was suffering and still trying to heal, and got certified at a school in Florida, the International School of Detoxification. And basically, I think I was supposed to just be focusing on my healing, but obviously I wasn't, because they say everything happens for a reason. But it is really important when you're healing to rest. So something that I really wanted to share, one of my top tips, is about the adrenal gland connection to your autonomic nervous system. And the adrenal glands, they sit up top the kidneys, and they're very, very important. They send out corticosteroids that neutralize acids. Okay, and this is your emotional center. If your adrenal glands are burnt out from, say, years of drinking, stimulating things like coffee or Coca-Cola or things like that, good luck with your healing. You really need to get off all things stimulating and really heal the adrenal glands. They are connected to your kidneys and your lymphatic system, and they actually really help, when you start to heal them, they really help your state of mind. There's this joy of being that will come over you when your adrenal glands are healed. I'm not saying that the regenerative healing journey is easy, because there is a lot of detoxification reactions that you will go through that are inevitable, where you for a few days have to experience some previous poor health symptom that you used to suffer with, whether it be really bad lower back pain, which is the kidneys and adrenals, right? People with lower back pain, or chronic UTIs, all of a sudden you're getting urinary tract infection, while you're on the detox program. And then you're like, well, wait, I wasn't with an infection before I started eating the fruits and eating really clean. So, it must be the fruits. And then people give up and they quit their journey. But the thing is no, the fruits work to pull on the lymphatic system, all the acids and toxins out. And as the acids are being eliminated through the bladder, there's going to be a little bit more acidity in the urine, which, the fungus and the bad bacteria thrive in. And this is where, this is where the UTI, the feeling of a urinary tract infection, comes from. But those symptoms only last for a few days. For me on my healing journey, I did a 4-day juice fast, and I highly recommend just giving yourself a digestive vacation for a little while. When was the last time you ever just, skipped a meal or skipped a day of eating? For me, it was scary. I was like, what? I'm just not going to eat for a day? But I did 4 days of juice fasting for my first time, around the time I discovered Dr. Robert Morse in 2015. And on day 2, I wasn't really in that much pain when I started the juice fast, but of course I wanted to heal the C-spine injury that they told me would never heal, and the jaw, the disc that slid out. I wanted to heal all this stuff, and I wasn't feeling too bad. And then I started the juice fast, and on day 2, it was like crazy. I couldn't even move. I remember showing up to a big health event and trying to, talk and do customer service and things, and just being like, oh my God, I don't know if I could do it. I did eventually get through, but on day 3, it was really bad. And then on day 4, it lightened up. Day 5, it got even better. And then, day 5, I got back on food, but it got better. So I did the 4-day juice fast. And then throughout that same week, I just felt like $1,000,000. And I knew, wow, there's really something to giving the body a digestive vacation. So the great lymphatic system, guys, we get our lymphatic system from our mother. We have genetic weaknesses, multi-generational, that we have to heal at the cellular level. So detoxification is the key. And we call it regenerative detoxification because your body starts to regenerate itself as the cells get rid of these wastes that, okay, picture it like this, okay? Your body is nothing but a bunch of cells and 2 major fluids. You have blood and you have lymph. This is like a very simplified version of the body. You have blood and you have lymph. Okay. Hey, Jane. Oh, I've missed you so much. Good to see you here. Thanks for your support as always. So then you have organs and glands that are nothing but a bunch of cells. So the liver is nothing but a bunch of cells. The kidneys are nothing but a bunch of cells. The brain, the heart, and so forth are nothing but a bunch of cells. Well, what if these cells are like little people? Okay, and they're swimming in their, they have the blood and the lymph around them. The blood, we say, feeds them, and the lymph is like the sewer system. So the blood is the kitchen, the lymph is the, bathroom. And what if you were to get a lot of acids and toxins around the cell? It's like putting a blanket over you, right? And someone saying, here, breathe. Try to breathe now with this blanket on you, These cells are being suffocated, essentially, by waste, and even our metabolisms generate acids as just part of it itself. So we really have to make detoxification a lifestyle. I really dislike when we use detox as like a short-term thing. Oh, I'm going on a detox, and I do it too. But we really need to make it a life journey, myself included. Me of all people, I think I need to make it. For what I'm trying to say is, I personally, because of my health being not so great, I really need to make health a huge part of my journey. And I was doing so well for 5 years. And then the last 8 months, 6 to 8 months, I was like, I'm going to go inward. I'm going to do some different healing. I'm going to do more of an emotional healing. I'm going to let my inner child enjoy whatever she wants. I had things that I hadn't eaten in years, over these last 6 to 8 months. Pasta, some of the emotional things that you're raised on as a child. You think that it's going to bring you back to that feeling of love and family by eating it. I feel like that's the subconscious reason. I think we eat for emotions. And I definitely was doing that. And after about, 6 to 8 months, boom, the pain that I thought I was completely free of came back. So I've been healing that for the last 10 days, and I'm getting right back on the program as much as possible and making it my lifestyle. So emotional detoxification is going to happen when you're on a detox lifestyle. So your cells are also going to release a lot of old traumas and just negative emotions, maybe guilt, shame, things like that. Let them go. Learn to let go. Learn to trust in the process of detoxification, and learn to face the truth. Look at reality, look at what's arising for you, and be patient with yourself. Because with self-care and rest, you'll move through these detoxification reactions. We don't like to call them healing crises anymore. You know, these are natural reactions by the body. You're just cleansing the body. You can move through these really well. You can take up things like I did, like coloring. You know, my friend, she's an artist, she's on today. She could do all of her creative painting and all of that stuff. And those are the kind of things that, you know, get you out of your head, get you grounded, bring you into the present moment. And as these kind of fears arise, you just know, oh, I'm cleaning my cells out. These are old, you know, multi-generational fears, might not even be mine. You might have some thoughts, you know, they might not even be your thoughts, you know, so don't pay too much mind to any of this stuff. Be kind to yourself. You know, eventually you'll get over that hump and you'll be energized and you'll feel so joyful. You know, there's this peacefulness that comes. Is peacefulness a word? You'll just feel this sense of peace. You'll feel more intuitive. You know, as you clean out the body, you get more sensitive and you start to kind of flow more and you're kind of guided a little bit better. I really relate the GI tract, you know, to having a lot to do with, you know, spiritual guidance. So keeping the terrain clean, you know, and most of us don't have a clean terrain. It's funny because before I got into detox, I pictured the GI tract as like, like, you know, pink, beautiful, like, you know, tissues and stuff. Hey, Kasha, thanks for your support. I pictured my GI tract being so clean, but you go for some colonics and stuff, and you know, you're like, oh, no. It needs to improve. And when you clean the terrain, you will experience so much clarity in your life, so much guidance. You'll just feel so you know, at peace. So you have to clear those blocks, the emotional blocks, the acids, and you will enter into a beautiful way of living. So these so-called anti-inflammatory diets, somebody asked about this one, and I'm not going to name any names, but it contained grains. The diet contained beans. They recommended high protein and high fat. This is completely opposite of what you should do when you want to heal. These are highly inflammatory, so you want to go off all grains. Even millet, buckwheat, and amaranth, and quinoa and chia, although they're alkaline forming and sometimes considered more of a seed than a grain, they are still very complex. If they're considered a seed, right, you have to understand seeds are to be planted to create a whole new, you know, tree or plant, right? There's a lot of nutrition in that little seed. So if you're going to have some seeds in your diet, you should keep it minimal. You can look at nature, like the nuts. If you were going to eat nuts and you were just living out, you know, years and years, I don't know, centuries ago, and you could just grab the nuts that were in their shell, how hard is it to open that shell? That's an indicator that we shouldn't eat a lot of them, right? If it's easy to pick and eat, you know, like fruit, we're out there, we have our fingers, we can pick the fruit, we can feel it, we eat it, it's easy, we love the taste, you know. This is designed for our body because we are a frugivory species. So our digestive tract, our anatomy, we're the closest to all of the animals, we're the closest to the primates. And if you look at what the primates eat naturally, before they get pushed into the mountains and are forced to eat like bugs and maybe even each other, who knows, right? They were eating fruits primarily and a little bit of herbs. So this is what our diet needs to be. A little bit less on the vegetables, more on the fruits. But raw vegetables are excellent for you. We wouldn't be doing like cruciferous raw. You could cook those, but you want to try to make your diet mostly raw, and you don't really want to be going heavy into the beans. The beans, I do a little bit better with beans actually than grains, but yet I crave the grains, and we know that's the fungus, right? they want to be fed too. So, but yeah, if you eat grains, you're really taxing the pancreas, you're taxing the adrenals, that's sugar metabolism there in the adrenal glands. And yeah, you kind of clog up and congest the system. So you could do it like now and then as like an emotional treat, but you want to be really off all grains, even those alkaline forming ones that I mentioned, be moderate. Beans, I would do maybe a little hummus now and then, but hardly, because I know that it like sticks everything together. You can feel it slows everything down. And you want to be low protein and low fat. So if you were doing, if say you were in chronic pain like I was, and someone gave you protein, you'd be in more pain. So you don't want to give protein to anyone who's in pain. You want to keep the protein low. And you'd be surprised, there's protein hiding in like a lot of plants, right? So if you're eating a raw vegan diet, you're going to be getting sufficient protein. Don't listen to the masses. Oh, you need so much protein. Don't worry, I was one of them. I used to sell so many protein supplements, and it got to the point where I was like, oh, maybe just take half a scoop. And I was doing all plant-based, like just trying to justify it, But ultimately, we want to be low fat and low protein and high carbohydrates, but from fruits and vegetables. So I'm going to address some of the questions because we're coming up to the 50-minute mark, and I want to close up at the 55-minute, maybe hour mark, so I have about 5 or 10 more minutes. So if you have any questions, please type them in. Looking here. Oh, thanks for all the compliments, guys. You're so sweet. Haha, it's okay, Jen. You had to leave. That's all right. Okay, so one of the questions I got was about what would be the first thing you could drink, like a cleansing drink, first thing upon rising, that would be an awesome routine. And now, if you've been listening, you'll have a little bit of a background of the detox protocol, the regenerative healing protocol. And so that means a lot of fruit. So you could start, if you need a drink, you could do fruit juice. Of course, it's so much better to eat the fruit whole, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with drinking fruit juice. What I would recommend is take a sip and kind of chew it a little bit. It starts the digestion. You don't want to be gulping back all these sugars. Now, of course, fruit sugars are completely different than the sugars found in grains. Where grains need your pancreas and adrenals to really kick in, fruit doesn't. Fruit juice is immediately converted into ATP for energy, adenosine triphosphate, cellular energy. So you can do fruit juice, herbal teas. My favorite is fruit and herbal tea first thing in the morning. Some people they don't have a lot of time. Even just squeezing some lemon into water, I know a lot of people are really into. It's very alkaline forming. All fruits are alkaline forming. You just want to wait for the fruit to be ripe, because it's in that ripening stage that the sugars, the simple sugars, make the fruit alkaline. So I hope that answers your question, Arturo, and I hope that you did get a chance to join us. Some people, they start their day with coffee. Very acidic, guys. Very acid forming. You're going to accumulate, and it's just a lot of work. So you have to keep, as you accumulate, you have to keep detoxing. So we want to keep the accumulations down. If you could do a good coffee substitute, something like a Harmonic Arts, Shaga, like Elixir or something like that without caffeine, because that just kills the adrenals, the nervous system. You're going to be finding that you're just anxious, you have a lot of emotions, you can't just feel clear. You really got to get off the caffeine, Okay, I got a question here. Bring in a colder climate. Oh, so if you're in a colder climate, thanks Jane, are tropical fruits. Okay, absolutely. But the only problem is good luck finding a properly ripe pineapple in our culture here in Toronto. I know you're here as well. So the issue with eating unripe fruit is that it is acidic. Now, it's okay because I'd rather you eat acidic fruit than, all these cooked foods and all these proteins and all these grains. So it would be a better choice than those things. But if you're looking for to eat more fruit, make sure you find the best quality fruit you can find. Tree ripened, or frozen fruit tends to be really good because they actually pick it ripe and then they freeze it right away. So you can make smoothies or coming into the warmer months. So thank you. That was a great question. And another question that I got is from my friend Reem. She's an osteopath in Toronto, beautiful woman. She's asked me, because she's an experienced faster like myself. We come from doing the master fast system where we're on Concord grape juice only for 40 days and things like that. She's asked me about how do you handle the guilt around eating? And I really love this question because I am somebody who highly emotional, definitely experiences guilt, especially around eating, coming from eating disorders and things like that. It's something that I'm still working through and healing. Well, the answer that I would give to you, Reem, is self-compassion, observation and inner child work. So treating yourself as that beautiful little child that you once were. How would you treat a child that you love, right? You're not going to scold them if, they ate the wrong thing or they ate too much, but just notice the reaction that you're having. Look at the reality. If it's giving you a blowback, maybe you're eating too many meals or you're overeating or you're eating the wrong food, just notice, okay, I did that. This is how it affected me. Maybe in the future I'm not going to do that. And but you have to give yourself love. And for me, I actually tried it out the last 6 to 8 months, eating whatever I wanted pretty much, and you learn from that. You don't have to judge yourself and have shame or guilt. None of that is going to help you. And let's see, I got a live question. Thank you, Erica. I really crave fat and dairy. Does that indicate something health-wise? Let's think. Okay, fat and dairy. Well, from my own experience with craving fats, fat is numbing, heavy, it's dense. Sometimes, I was an escapist for sure for many years, and still sometimes I suffer with that, and I just, I want to be out of this body, and I don't want to experience all these emotions and all this stress, and especially all the uncertainty we're facing today. So yes, for me, fat indicates a need to escape or to numb, and or just an emotional, you could do it as an emotional treat, but you don't want to excessively consume a lot of fats. Now in the winter, you can keep your lipids and your proteins a little higher on the detox program, because it's cold, it's already so alkaline, the weather, so you want to kind of get the metabolism working a bit more. But I'll tell you, through detox, when you have a lot of fat, when you're on a detox program, you'll start to see a lot of bile coming out of you, bright yellow, and you know that maybe you overdid it with the fat in the past. And with dairy, let me think. I think it might just be these are soothing foods. Dairy, maybe there might be some fungal, some candida issues. They love the dairy, but you can do a little butter and full fat cream as a treat. And these are more alkaline or more neutral. They're not really alkaline, but milk is highly acidic, and you're not going to want to be doing all those cheeses because they are very, very addictive, and they have compounds very similar to heroin. So, they tend to rule there. That's kind of where the addiction to dairy comes from. And then, we only have a couple minutes left here on the call, so I hope a lot of you got some good tips today from me, and all of those who are joining now, welcome. I'll be on live for just a few more minutes. I had, I think, one more question here that was submitted before my live. So, Jen, Jen asked, how much fruit should one consume in a day? This is a great question. So really with fruit, there's no limitations. It was my pleasure, Erica. Thank you for being here and for your contribution. But yeah, with fruit, there's no limits, you know. Of course, you can overdo anything. There's those people on YouTube who like eat bushels of bananas every day. We don't agree with that. We want you to have more water-rich fruits. And so grapes, watermelons, you know, berries, they're amazing for the neurological system. They light you up, you know. You want energy in the morning? Don't do your coffee. Do fruit, do berries. You will be ready to go because of their support to the nervous system and being electrical. And we are electrical beings, so we need our electricity from our foods, our raw foods, our fruits and our vegetables. So no, Jen, you can eat whatever you like with fruit. Eat till you're satisfied. Try not to overdo it. Try to always leave a little bit of space, you know, in the stomach. You never want to overdo that. And you can eat it as often as you want. Fruit, when you're on a more of a fruit diet, when I put myself on fruit for 10 days the first time, I even allowed avocado and coconut. You should see all the fungus that comes out. You guys, you gotta try a full fruit diet. Maybe add in some herbal tinctures, which I would say would be really, really helpful when you're on a full fruit because you're already detoxing so crazily. The herbs are just like beautiful sweethearts that come in, grab onto those harmful substances and remove them. And you'll see it all coming out of your body. In the toilet. So yeah, just make sure your fruit is ripe, Jen, and you can eat as much as you like. You could even eat fruit before bed and it not be an issue. The only reason why I'm like not eating a few hours before bed now is because it's not fruit that I'm eating. I'm eating like, you know, a salad. I had some cooked vegetables yesterday. So the cooking of the food is acidifying, but it is soothing to the soul and to the emotional body. So you can find your own balance. But if you really are trying to heal from something really severe, you really want to contact us for the regenerative healing program and the diet and stick to it, you know, for at least for a few months, you know. Okay, well, thank you all. If there's no other questions, I can let you go. Let me see. Send anything else if you have it. We have about 1 minute left. Have to go. Love the info. Love you too, Jane. Thank you. This has been such an honor. I'm just so blessed to be able to connect with you all like this. And yeah, just send over any questions anytime. And I hope this helps. Lots of love. See you guys later.